afternoon and welcome to our presentation about the educators' ethical behaviors. This presentation is by our Sylacauga City Schools cohort here at Pinecrest: Karen Blocker, Anna Johnson, Rita Jones, Jennifer Migliori, and Olivia Harmon. Today we're going to be talking about some of the major issues. Well, before we do that, let's go back. This is what our presentation is going to be on, first off. In an effort to promote the highest ethical behavior, the following plan has been developed. We will be discussing the legal and ethical issues of beginning teachers. We will then have a presentation of the Alabama Educator Code of Ethics and how those ethical beliefs relate to what new teachers face. We'll watch a quick video on educator ethics, and then we have a scenario discussion. So some of the legal and ethical issues that new teachers face these days, there's a lot of different ones. We have harassment of teachers. Hopefully that doesn't happen in the school system, but unfortunately it does in some. We all have to face discipline of students, and that can always go towards a bad area if somebody doesn't know what they're doing. Bullying that goes for students as well as teachers. Falsifying information, from standardized tests to grades for a student. Sexual harassment, accommodation of disabilities. You have to be very careful with that when dealing with students with IEPs. Misuse of school money, maybe spending your school funding on something for your house or something like that. Committing a crime. If you're committed of a felony, you are breaking some ethical laws. Reporting child abuse. You have to be very careful on following the steps to report child abuse. Copyright laws, not copying too many things that you're not supposed to be copying. Inappropriate use of drugs and alcohol. I know that sounds kind of funny because we don't think of it as something we would do, but unfortunately, some people may not think the way we do. Religion. Different views of religion may cause problems. Tutoring students for money, taking money when you're not supposed to. Confidentiality, that's one of the major ones that schools face because we have to keep student information confidential. Breach of contract, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. And misuse of social media, which is very big today, in today's times, because there is so many different forms of social media out there now. Alright, I'm going to talk now about Standard 1, which is on professional conduct. Standard 1 states, an educator should demonstrate conduct that follows generally recognized professional standards. So some ethical conduct, it includes this, but is not limited to encouraging colleagues, respecting educators, participating in the development of a teaching environment, and engaging in a variety of individual learning experiences. This is what it should look like. What it shouldn't look like is next. Harassment of colleagues, misuse of test materials, inappropriate language, you can't cuss, physical altercations, and failure to provide appropriate supervision. Some of us may want to say a few choice words sometimes when you get as angry as you do with some of these kids, but you have to refrain, because if you don't, you're violating an ethical standard.
I'm going to talk about Standard 2, and to help you out, I've got a handout that has all the standards on there, so you can kind of go by them as we cover them. So everybody's got a handout. And I'm going to talk about number 2, trustworthiness. As you can see, an educator should exemplify honesty and integrity in the course of professional practice. And there's some things that you should cover: properly representing facts, advocating for fair and equitable opportunities for all children. And then what you should not be doing is on the next slide. Unethical conduct includes falsifying, misrepresenting, omitting, professional qualifications. Of course, if you have a criminal record, you have to report all that, of course, on your application. And then before we go on to the next one, I have on your second page of your handout, it just talks about trust and trustworthiness. And you can see the example there of trust is just a firm belief in the character, strength, or truth of someone or something, a person or thing in which confidence is placed. And the definition for trustworthy is to demonstrate that others can trust us through our words and our actions. So if you look down, there's two components of trust, and I thought this was just really right on with what we were talking about. It says trust is made up of two components: the ability to trust, that is to place confidence in others, and the ability to be trustworthy, or to demonstrate through actions and words that others can trust us as individuals. So trustworthy individuals are able to foster strong and lasting relationships, and of course in our business, that's the most important thing. Relationships are the key to success, of course at work, at school, and at home. So being trustworthy is not an option, it is essential. And then the next standard is unlawful acts. And there's not much really to say about that. It's just that an educator should abide by federal, state, and local laws and statutes. And so, you have to be above board. You have to be lawful, abide by the law, especially in our profession.
Okay, and I'm going to talk about the next one, which is Standard 4. And I'm glad to say that our school system, this is one that we have always been, as far as I'm aware, very well known of following and making sure in every one of our schools that we follow this standard. It is Standard 4, teacher-student relationship, and educators should always maintain a professional relationship with all students, both in and outside the classroom. This is what we should do as teachers. The conduct includes fulfilling the roles of trusted confidant, mentor, and advocate for students' growth, nurturing the intellectual, physical, emotional, social, and civic potential of all students, providing a safe environment, and creating, supporting, and maintaining challenging environment for all students. We should not commit any act of child abuse, including physical or verbal abuse, commit any act of cruelty to children, or endangering them in any way, should not solicit any unlawful sexual act, should not have a harassing behavior based on race, gender, national origin, religion, or disability. We should not solicit, encourage any inappropriate written, verbal, or physical relationship with a student. And we definitely should not be furnishing any tobacco, alcohol, or illegal drugs to any student. The next standard that we're going to go over follows up with that: alcohol, drug, and tobacco use or possession. Now, the ethical conduct for this is factual, representing the dangers of alcohol, tobacco, and illegal drug use. And I know our school system does this through the Drug Awareness Red Ribbon Week. And we should not, on the next slide, should not at any time be under the influences of possessing, using, or consuming illegal or unauthorized drugs. On the school premises, don't ever bring any alcohol, tobacco, or consuming any of that on school property. And then, or at any school-related activity.